All right, so about 2 years ago, I started my first online business. And looking back 2 years later, it was the best thing I've ever done, right? Not only, obviously, there's kind of two ways I've benefited, I would say, obviously financially, but also personally. And I want to talk about this in this video, which is just kind of pros and cons and lessons coming from myself, who obviously has been doing it for 2 years. I would say I've made a decent amount of money at the age I'm currently at, which is 18 years old. And I'm not one of these kids that caught a crypto pump and that's all the money I made and I eat McDonald's all day and I'm still this big fat loser that has Lamborghini payments. No, no, that is not me, right? Obviously, for anyone that's watched the channel, you know that. But I'll start with the cons, and I'm going to be brutally honest here to people that I think this video is super important if you're wanting to start a business, or maybe you've started your business but you've made no money with it. Firstly, is when you start, and this can be viewed as a pro too, but I'd say mainly a con when you start, you kind of have to put everything else in the back burner, except maybe like family, right? The friends, school, sports, maybe, everything else you need to put. If you really want to become successful with a business, it pretty much takes everything. It really does. And I think it's been over glorified today to become this like entrepreneur and stuff. I guarantee you, for the first year, you'll probably make like probably less than minimum wage considering all the hours you've worked. And you'll be left. I mean, there's people who work their first whole year and they literally aren't left with a cent. So it's really over glorified in the space, but you really have to put everything else on the back burner. This is your only focus. Sure, maybe you got family, business is your focus. I'm not going to hang out with friends on the weekends. I'm not doing any of that, right? I'm literally solely focused. But also at the same time, don't be that loser that acts like he's this mature person that, doesn't do anything fun and he just sits in his room and there's nothing to show for it. Like, no, bro, I have met those people. Those people are the biggest losers, right? So don't be that guy. Still have fun. Maybe make yourself rewards, right? Like if I work super hard for this week, I'll do something fun, like make little rewards of it, but you really have to control it, right? And it needs to be really goal oriented. And like I said, it has to be controlled. So that's the first thing. Second thing is your environment is everything, right? And this is also kind of another con. Your environment is everything. And when you start, you're probably not in the most optimal environment. You might have friends that are not, maybe have the desires, the ambitions you have, but you also haven't proven it to anyone that you're worthy of hanging out with the people that are already successful, right? So you're in this gray area where you want to be with these people that are different, that are, very ambitious and et cetera, like all the things you would want to hang out with, but you haven't proven it to anyone yet, so you can't hang out with them, right? You got to prove it to yourself before you can prove it to everyone else. And that's really what it is. So you're kind of stuck with this old kind of habits, friend group, whatever. And that old environment, it can either level you up because you're so pissed off that you're still there, that you work so hard every day to get in this new environment, or you succumb to obviously the kind of the desires of the, just the temptations, right? Of just falling back into old habits. So that's a gray area, and that's tough. That's really, really tough. And it takes a certain person to obviously get out of that. And that's why most people quit, right? Which is kind of my next thing, which is I would say 95% of people that start an online business quit. Probably more, actually, including the drop shipping audience. It's probably like 99.5. Pretty much for every 1,000 people you see on the internet, or no, every one person you see on the internet that's successful, there's probably 1,000 graveyards of people who aren't, right? So I'm probably an example of this, right? I'll be straight up. I'm probably an example of, that one person who's kind of, let's say, gotten through the hard, the initial kind of like making money, making my first dollar phase. And then there's 1,000 people who literally tried for 6 to 12 months. They made nothing. So it's all how you approach it, right? I made it. This was my entire life for a year, and I had very little to show for it a year later, right? So that's also a con, okay, for sure. I would say the last con is it's kind of hard to really hammer this hard because honestly, it's been nothing. I would say it's been an amazing thing for me to do is just starting the business. But I'd say the last thing is probably just your mindset towards money. And I say this as a con, again, it could be used as a pro, but your mindset towards money becomes like, it's super skewed, okay? And like you kind of get out of touch a little bit once you start making money because you're like, wait, why are people going in person to work a job to make X amount of dollars an hour when you can sit at home from anywhere in the world, make that off your laptop? And it's like you kind of get it skewed a little bit. So it's like you might get a little bit out of touch. Again, that could be used as a pro too, because then you just kind of elevate yourself to that other standard. So either or, but the amount of people that like social media gets you out of touch. Okay. That's kind of that con is social media will make you think like every 20-year-old has a Lamborghini when that is the far from the truth. Right. So that's that. Pros. I mean, I could start anywhere. I mean, personally, I'll say from a pros like standpoint, I think if you want to become the person who's worthy enough of making, let's say 10K a month, for example, you got to be a 10K a month person. Okay. Of course, there's those kids that get the crypto pumps and they do nothing and they smoke weed and eat McDonald's all day and they make for 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. Those people are losers. Okay. Those people have essentially won the jackpot and you don't want to become like those people. You might glorify them. You look at them, dude, this guy's making X amount of dollars. Watch him lose it a few months later. It always happens. I've seen it firsthand. So personally, when you build a business online, for me, I had to level up every area of my life, not only my speaking ability, my fitness, right? I was super overweight when I started. You could look at that on my channel. I went from playing video games all day, literally like 12 to 14 hours a day. That is all I did, to funneling all that time and energy towards building a business where you treat business just like a video game. You know, I still kind of do to this day. It's fun, right? Have fun with it. You know, like you don't start this stuff to hate your life, right? Like, no, of course not. So personally, you have to kind of level up every area. Knowledge, fitness. I think fitness is super correlated. People say no, but healthy mind, healthy body, healthy mind. I don't know how the saying goes, but I think you get it. But yeah, you kind of just level up every area of your life a little bit, of course, with sacrifices. So maybe the amount of friends you have, you might have to cut that down, right? I did personally. So I would say this is pro though, for sure. I mean, like I would trade off, getting rid of friends I don't really care about to better myself, get better people around me, and make a lot more money and do a lot more cooler things than they can. Like I don't see who wouldn't, right? Another pro is especially if you're young, you start early, okay? Everyone else will probably get jobs that just in your hometown or whatever. There's nothing against getting a job. I've just talked about how entrepreneurship is super overglorified, and it is. But getting like a job for your entire life, for some people, that's how they want to operate. Again, nothing against them. If you want to be the person who controls your own hours, which means you probably for the first 10 years of being an entrepreneur, you're probably working way more than you would at a job. But regardless, you have more freedom in your life. Okay. That is how it is, especially if you make money online. I could tomorrow book a flight to Hawaii. I could stay in Hawaii for 2 weeks. Then I could book a flight to London. I could stay in London for 2 weeks off my laptop and still make money, still take my calls, still do everything I need to do and grow my business as a whole. So it really allows flexibility. It also can lead to, wasting all the money like a lot of people do. But still, it's the flexibility is a big, big part of your life, and just having control and freedom is what everyone wants. Everyone wants freedom. The last pro I'll say is, I guess the pro of kind of leveling up every area in your life kind of covers a lot of things, but I would say your overall just your, it depends on the industry you go into. So if you start an actual, like, let's say like a marketing agency, for example, where you have to run advertisements, you have to sell people, you have to communicate with people, sell them over Zoom calls or phones, whatever it is, you have to fulfill for them. You get really good at like actually talking to people. And that's something that, like, when I played video games all day, I was horrible at talking to people. And a lot of people are. A lot of people suck at speaking, right? And speaking, I'm not the best by any means, but speaking helps so much. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's just another lever you have to pull as a skill set, right? That's just how it is. So I think ending off this video I'll just conclude it with, I have looked back over the past 2 years and I've regretted nothing. Okay. I've regretted not one thing, like, choosing to go down this route, whatever. There's zero regrets, right? Like, I've been able to do some cool things. I've kind of briefly mentioned on this channel. Of course, I've been able to buy some cool things like a watch. That's cool. Kind of like, I would say it's kind of a very small achievement to watch. Like, really, who cares? But much bigger things soon. Like, I mean, I could go out there and I could make some stupid purchases, like stupid purchases right now, like a crazy car, something like that now if I wanted. But it's like, I'm not making money to prove myself to others, right? Like, that's not why I started this. But I also want to enjoy the money I make, right? Everyone does. You don't work hard to just go throw all the money in a bank account and never, use it. What's the point of that, right? So yeah, concluding this video, I would recommend you to take what I say here as maybe just as advice and things to know going into it, right? Like, if you're that person that says, I cannot fathom working more than the average person for 10, I'm not saying 10 years, but at least the first few years of being an entrepreneur, I cannot fathom working so many more hours than the average person. Count me out. Great. Like, nothing against that. But if also you're the one that's sitting there, it's like, who cares how much time, who cares about, I'm going to be honest, who cares about mental health when it comes to work? I'm going to work regardless. Who cares about, working more hours compared to the people who have to rot their entire life into some cubicle? Like, make your own trade-offs, right? Everyone's different, but hopefully you take this as advice, and coming from someone who's obviously still on the journey, but made some progress for myself, and I'm speaking, strictly from that kind of progress I've made. So that being said, guys, hopefully this has helped. I'm releasing a course on YouTube completely for free around just talking more about like what I do and actually how I make money. I did one last year, did very well, so I'm gonna do another one this year, and it's gonna be way more updated, way more easier to understand, I think, and all the above. So hopefully this has provided some insights, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.